Hey Somos Kids, I hope today has been great. Welcome back to another Bible story video. Last week we talked about how God sent Moses back to Egypt after seeing the burning bush to save the Israelites from the king. This week we are going to talk about what happened when Moses confronted the king. The story is found in the book of Exodus, chapters 7 through 12. The Israelites had been slaves in Egypt for hundreds of years. They were treated badly and it was time for them to escape. But the Egyptian ruler Pharaoh was determined not to let them leave Egypt. So God sent 10 plagues to change his mind. The first plague was the plague of blood. God ordered Aaron to touch the river Nile with his staff, and the waters were turned to blood. The fish in the river died, and the Egyptians couldn't drink the foul water. Then God sent a plague of frogs, a plague of lice, and a plague of flies. The fifth plague was the death of their cattle. The sixth plague was the plague of boils. The Pharaoh, his servants, the Egyptians, and even their animals developed painful boils all over their bodies. There were even boils on the Pharaoh's feet. A physician attended the Pharaoh's court, but he could not cure them. The seventh plague was the plague of hail. God rained hail, fire, and thunder upon Egypt, and the hail struck down all the crops in the fields and shattered every tree. The eighth plague was the plague of a type of bug called locusts. God told Moses to stretch out his hand over the land of Egypt to bring the plague of locusts. They covered the face of the land and swallowed up every crop and all of the trees. Afterwards, there was nothing green in the trees, and all the crops in the fields had been destroyed. The ninth plague was the plague of darkness. Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness over all the land of Egypt. This darkness was so total that the Egyptians had to feel their way around. Then Pharaoh offered to set the Israelites free, on one condition, that they let their sheep and cattle remain. But the Israelites needed their animals to sacrifice to God, so they rejected Pharaoh's condition. The last plague was the death of the firstborn child. This was the worst of them all, and finally the king let the Israelites go. The plagues were about more than just punishing the Egyptians and freeing the Israelites. God wanted everyone to see God's power. It must have been pretty scary to live in Egypt at this time. Luckily for us, we can trust that God is bigger than whatever we are facing. The Israelites had to trust that God was helping them through all of the plagues, and in the end, they were set free. Whatever we face in life, we can trust that God is bigger. There's nothing God can't do. And most importantly, God can and will do anything to show people who God is. That's all I have for you today, Somos Kids. Keep watching to see the challenge for this weekend. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you right back here next weekend. Bye!
What's up, Somos Kids? Welcome back to another challenge. So the challenge of the day today is who can gut the pumpkin the fastest. So before you carve a pumpkin, you know you have to get all the seeds and all the brain stuff out. So me and Bruno are going to race to see who can gut it the fastest. So stay tuned and let's continue.